Well, hello. And good morning to everybody. Good afternoon to me. I have been busy during the pandemic. I'm wondering, what have you guys accomplished during the pandemic? Anything outstanding that you've gotten achieved? Oh, come on. It has to be something.
I personally am quite proud of continuing doing these things where we are now. So there's a few people chatting in there and replying.
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
My name's Julie. I joined a political party during the pandemic and have stepped up and got really involved in supporting them with some of their technology and some of their sort of how they do stuff. And that's been really exciting. I never ever thought I would do such a thing. But anyway, that's what I've done during the pandemic.
Awesome. I got very close, but I changed my mind. So we've got somebody changed jobs. Andrew changed jobs. Jody learned to ride a unicycle. Did you learn that by yourself or did you have a teacher?
I learned with a few other people, and yeah, I did have a teacher, but I would say that it's more just keep falling and trying again, and your brain figures it out eventually.
Nice. Have you seen the backwards bicycle video?
Yeah, it reminded me of that. It took me 6 months to learn, and it took my kids like 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice. That's not very long. Let's see, we've got managed to shrink many of my clothes. I know what that's like. I did that too. Started your own business, Frank. Frank started his own business. Shalivia is working on starting a business. Your business grew, and Alexandra, that's good. You hired 5 people. Planned a knockdown rebuild. What is a knockdown rebuild for yoga? What is that? Don't know what that is. Create a food forest as well. So boy, people did a lot of stuff over the pandemic. I actually had published 2 books in July. So I guess that's part of the pandemic this month, but I think the first part of it, I didn't do too much. I stayed pretty quiet, but I brought that up because during the pandemic, I've done a lot of playing this game electronically. So the game started off as a desire for me to help others learn how to understand product management. And it is a board game. I have 10 actual board games, and I was going to conferences and having a great time teaching people how to play and how to learn about product management. And then the pandemic came and I had to make it electronic. So there's advantages to both. I think the electronic board game has some fun parts of it. But before we got into it, what I've learned from these interactive conferences that are distributed is it's best just to start with the basics, like what is product management and what does that even mean to people? So I was just going to open it up to the group and ask you guys, like, what do you, when I say product management, what does that even really mean to you? What do you think it is? I know it's early, guys, but it's just the way I roll.
Hi there, Terry. It's Alex. I would say product management to me is taking an idea or something that you can, I didn't think through this when I started talking, that you can turn into something that's commercial, that's sustainable, that offers something to the consumer of that product.
Right, good. Frank Scott, keeping a product relevant and in good shape, understanding customer problems and creating solutions to solve these problems. Right, so how many people are involved, do you think, in product management? Like, I try to compare it to a Scrum Master. So compare a product owner to a Scrum Master. What is their 2 different, how are their worlds, in your mind, how are they the same, how are they different?
product manager really has to represent the needs of the users into the team that's developing the product. So they're there to represent what's really important and help prioritize what the team should be working on.
Do you feel like that they're a team leader?
They're certainly a leader of sorts. Yes, they're a very important leader. I guess if you're coming from an agile perspective, everyone is kind of challenged to take on a leadership role, and the product manager has a particular, a very defined leadership role that they're playing for the team.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
I guess I've always, I run with someone's definition. I think it was Nomad 8 that said the Scrum Master is in charge of the process, and product owner is in charge of the product decisions, but neither of them are a boss of the team. That kind of resonates with me, if I had to sum it up quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And a lot of times they took project managers and made them into product owners. So that gets real interesting real quick. Let's see, there's some more people in chat. You guys are making me do double duty. I don't know what a food forest is, so we might have to talk about that before we get done. Different in that a product owner focuses ahead on building a roadmap, creating a vision. Scrum lead manages the day-to-day, overseeing delivery ways of working. Absolutely. So I'm going to go with that one. Those things are all correct. What I've noticed with a lot of companies is they want me to come in and help upskill their product owners. And I always ask them, do you have a product management philosophy? And they look at me like I'm kind of crazy sometimes. So I just wanted to start there with the product management philosophy. So I'm just going to share with you what I would consider the strategy to execution workflow. So can you guys see this visual, or should I just download it? Is it too small?
I can see it, no problem.
Okay. If you need me to download it, I can open it up bigger. So basically, with a Scrum Master, they're right down here working with their team doing delivery work. Some organizations have a Scrum Master.
Terry, it's a bit small for me. I can't really see it.
Okay. Sure, that's all right. I'll just download, make it easier. Some Scrum Masters, some organizations, Scrum Masters have like some kind of Scrum Master Alliance or a guild or whatever. But most of the time, the Scrum Master works with the team, where really with a product owner, they work from the vision, from strategy, all the way through to execution. So you've got product owners at the vision level, right? And they understand clearly the vision. You've got product, and that's kind of usually a portfolio product manager that manages the portfolio backlog. You've got product owners at the program level that manages a roadmap for a program. And then you've got team level product owners that actually work with the team and work with that like RTEs and others to help support the team. So usually when we talk about product owners, we're pretty much thinking about execution, but there's a lot of work that goes on across. And this is actually a product management team. So a product owner is actually part of two teams. They're part of a Scrum team, but they're also part of a product management team. In some organizations, that could be one person that does all that. In other organizations, it's definitely, different levels of people. So just want to get your guys' thoughts on even that concept of different levels of product ownership.
And Terry, it's Belinda here. When you asked that question around product management, and I'm finding that in companies, there's not an understanding that a product lasts for a longer time, like that a portfolio is sort of about more discrete elements of a project or an activity, or like something that might be attached to value, but may not be attached to a product per se. Is that what you mean by what you're finding as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they're telling me, can you just upskill our product owners? Can you just help them do better standards or better refinement? You're like, well, they can't do better refinement if they don't have a product management. Either I call it an ecosystem. Some people call it a philosophy, but if you're really doing projects and you're calling somebody a product owner, but you really mean project manager, then you're kind of missing the whole concept, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah,
I definitely find there's bits and pieces of it that I'll see in an organization. but tying it together and having a product owner feel a part of that is not always the case. Sometimes the organisation will put them right down at that bottom, execute, even define them, in an IT background or something like that, rather than a business background. So you got, I think it'd be great to have that. That would be beautiful, I think.
It's a beautiful picture anyway, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of what drove me to develop the game, because we wanted to have these conversations, and we quickly realized that people didn't understand the different responsibilities at the different levels. And so, when I'm saying, well, the portfolio product owner manages the vision, like, that's great for me to say it, but people it didn't resonate with people. They were like, so what does that mean? What do they do? What do they actually do? So that's kind of the background with where we started with the game. And close that out. So basically I was showing you that because I want to make sure we kind of grounded. The other thing I didn't explain was each of those levels is attached to a level of agile planning. So I'll download the document here in a minute and talk about the levels of agile planning. But for each level of agile planning, there's like responsibilities for the product owner. So I wanted to start off with telling you how to get the game and how to use the game if you wanted to. It's free. There's not trying to sell you anything. You would have to go to my website, but I'm not tracking who downloads it. So you will not get an email back say it's actually free. It's free. I mean, you will not get emails back from me saying, thanks for downloading this. Now do you want my 50 million other things? So it's not about that. I gave up on selling stuff a long time ago. So you go to free downloads. And then from here, you could see these rotate all the time. And I do send out notifications to people on my email list to say, hey, this is a new free thing that came out if you want to download it. I've kept this one on for quite a while just because a lot of people have asked about it. So basically you can download, there's two parts of the game. The first part is enterprise product planning. So this is like the notebook that tells you everything you need to know to understand the game as far as like what product owners do at what levels. So it's understanding the 5 levels of planning, the critical success factors, the skills, the events and behaviors for the products from strategy to execution. So the backbone of the game is in this PDF. So you can download that. I would suggest you don't try to play the game without actually understanding, reading through and understanding the PDF itself. So it has like all the all the critical success factors, the events, all this stuff for each level of planning. So it's some people say, I'd rather not play the game. I just want to read it. So if you just want to read it, there you have it. You can just go read that. But it pretty much breaks everything down. And then the other thing that you can do then is you can actually play the game. So to do that, you would download this PowerPoint presentation. It covers the 5 levels of agile planning. So each level of product management is attached to a level of agile planning. And I'll just stop there. There's vision, roadmap, release, SAFe calls it PI planning, iteration, and daily. Is this new to anybody? Do you have questions about it? About the 5 levels of agile planning? All right, I'm going to keep going. So how to play the game. This PowerPoint gives you all the instructions that you need. As you can see, it really is a board game. Right now it's in my bathroom, under my bathroom sink being stored. If you want one, let me know, because I'm kind of tired of storing them. And basically, it just takes you through the 5 levels of planning. So when I'm working with a team and explaining, the purpose of it, I'll walk the board with them and say, okay, at this level of agile planning, these are the events that are in green on the 4 corners. These are the skills that are yellow, and those skills relate to critical success factors. And then the quest cards, if you land on a quest card, it's around behaviors. So it's kind of teaching you the different elements of like, what do we need to achieve to do this level successfully? So your critical success factors. What are the events that we probably need to think about having if we want to achieve those successes? What skills support each one of those critical success factors? And then what behaviors do we need to have? So it's very complicated, but I think what we do is very complicated. So questions about any of that before we get going? And the game itself, it takes care of all the money. So we put some money behind it just to make it a little bit fun. So you can actually play this with as many players as you want, honestly, but you need to have a facilitator for each of the games. So really it would be 3 people with 1 facilitator, or else people will just do what people do. We're goats, you know. As soon as you put us in a fence, we go to the edge and see if we can get out. Even if it's a 10-acre fence, it'll still be going, how do we get out? So you need a facilitator with each group. And you can see, like, you've got team A, B, and C, and they have players 1, 2, 3. So that's like one team that's playing together, but they can all play like at the same time. So you can have literally as many groups of people you want playing it together. And if you wanted to download it, we do have a knowledge base, and our knowledge base it's cost, like, I think it's $20 a month. I'm actually not sure. It's got tons of stuff in it, but one thing it has in it is if you wanted to play manually play the game, all the information is here. And also you could download literally all the assets and make your own game. So and you can join for free for 30 days, and then you don't have to pay for that either. So if you wanted to download it, it's there. So basically, I've already set up a game, so I'm going to hopefully get to it. Here we are here. So here's the game. It starts off at vision. The board game actually has vision on the back side of these cards. So every time you flip a card over in the board game, it spells out vision when you're all done. Unfortunately, this electronic one doesn't have that. But basically, I've logged in on this machine, and I've got another machine here logged in as well. And I'm the blue one on this machine. I'm the purple one on the other machine. If 2 other people logged in, then they would have, they would be down here on these other events. So it starts on the events. And basically, you just click the little guy, and it goes to, okay, a quest card. So quest cards can be good behaviors or not so good behaviors, and they could be penalties for not good behaviors or rewards for good behaviors. So what did I get? So my team works with customers to understand how they feel as they interact with features. Now you can improve your customer journeys, collect $400. So then I would talk about this with the people that are playing the game. Like, why is that important? At the vision level, why is it important to get this input? Do the organizations you work with actually do this? Do you talk to your customers, understand their journey, and then from that information, define your desired results? Or or how does it work? And if I'm playing the board game physically, we would take the quest cards and put them in piles. So one pile is, yes, our organization does this. And the other pile is, nope, we do not do this. And then at the end of the game, we would look at like all the things that we're not doing and how those behaviors impact our outcomes. Any questions so far? And I should have gotten, when I click OK, I'll get $400. See, I got $400 in the bank for being good.
I guess we should also say that the website, if people are looking for it, I pasted in the chat, but also for people who are reviewing this, it's powersds.com/free stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Thanks,
yeah, thank you.
Terry, just a quick question. So when you're playing this with, when you bring it somewhere to play, do you play it with the product managers or do you play it with a product team?
That's really a good question. I try to play it depending on kind of like, I really try to play it with everybody I can, like as far as the people, like I think executives need to understand, as well as product managers, as well as even, I think the delivery team gets value out of even understanding what does a good vision look like? What should go into a vision? Because if you're thinking about it, who knows, like that last card, who knows best, the product, the customer experience, like the delivery teams understand what they built. And if they were allowed to talk to customers or watch them use what they built, I guarantee you they would make such a better product. But unfortunately, we just go, we'll talk to you later when it's down there and we're ready for you to cut some code. I feel like the title product owner, I wish they wouldn't have used that title, because I feel like it's a product team, a product owner team. Like when the team gets mature, they should be putting in as much into the vision as a product owner. Like they should know that product pretty intimately. And of course, I know I'm living in La La Land, but you know, in my world, that's how it would go.
No, I don't think you live in La La Land. Like from my experience, some of the product owners that are really strong definitely leverage the fact that, you know, I make the decision. Like, you know, I have to make that risk and reward sort of call, but I will take the input from the team because, you know, 10 people's views is going to be more rounded than a one person's view.
Absolutely. So, and also I forgot to say, whenever you're playing the game, the facilitators should be, if you're doing it distributed, obviously, sharing it on Zoom so everybody can see what's happening, but each individual has their own board open so they can click. So you're going to see me click on my other board and then, oh, got a quest card. Your team communicates with stakeholders regularly as needed. Great. Now you can keep your vision clear to everyone involved. So then you have a discussion around like, why is that important? Why should we be talking to, you know, talking to stakeholders? So we go, okay, yep, do we do that? Do we not do that? Okay, next one. And the other thing is once you get a skill, so here's a skill, empathy interviewing technique, you need to find that skill on your critical success factors, which are in the middle. So empathy interviewing technique is here. So why is the ability to empathetically interview people important? Because that's how we understand customer value. So you get rewarded for having a skill. Now that I've got that skill, or our team has that skill, that's the other thing. This is a team game. We're not playing against each other on this team. We're playing against other teams that are playing. We're all working together. So once you get a skill, then you won't land on it again. The system will skip it. Where am I at here? Oh, sorry. I think I'm over here now. Yeah. And it keeps track of who's on first. So that's good. Identify return on investment. So you look for that, identify return on investment, right? So that skill's here. So why is that important? Well, that helps us understand the business, which business increments should be first, which business increments should go next, prioritize. What's a business increment? A business increment, you could think of it as an epic if you're, you know, using that term, or I think of it as a set of features. So a set of features, like, you know, if you're using Microsoft Office, a set of features that enables you to do specific things like, well, actually, I'll use Zoom, for example. So a set of features that allows us to do sharing our screen. There's several different features involved with sharing the screen. So, so the thing of it is to understand it, to talk through it. And if you're doing this with a group of people, for example, executives, product owners, whatever, developers, even, they're going to push back and ask, like, you know, why would we spend all this time doing this stuff? But, you know, let's just say what we want and just build it. And I mean, I'm just wondering, like, how would you respond to that if somebody, because I've had people say to me, you expect us to spend time doing this when they could be cutting code. So I'm wondering, like, what would your response to that be? Anybody brave?
Well, if they're cutting the wrong code for the wrong solutions, then that's not the right thing to be doing.
Right. I get a lot of pushback about time commitment and that sort of thing. But, you know, I think this is a way to have the conversation, a healthy way maybe to have the conversation. It looks like somebody else picked a board up and is doing it. See here, it says Team B. And both of my boards are Team A. So somebody's playing with me.
No, that's me.
That's cool. That's all right. And that's the whole idea, is you can see who's leading as you play. Let's have a look. Yeah, I get a lot of that. Design thinking facilitation. So this one too, like a lot of this is to help people understand how our different frameworks fit together. So you can see on the bottom of these cards, it says lean principles, design thinking principles, lean principles, project management. And it's kind of like helping people understand, how do I use design thinking? Where does it fit? And it fits obviously in prototyping. So before we make a decision on investing any money, we probably want to make sure that we prototype some kind of low fidelity solution so that we all understand what the effort really is. And I find that to be so important, because a lot of times leaders don't understand what they're asking for because they don't understand their systems. So, and again, this is how a good way to have these conversations. A quest card, another good one. you've established external forums to generate ideas. Now you'll be able to test ideas to drive value to customers. So why would that be important? Like, I worked at Westpac. I reckon if I shared this with an executive at Westpac, they would tell me I was nuts. Like, we are not going to spend money and time establishing external forums to generate ideas, right? But do you see how, like, you could hopefully this would help have a conversation about that. So just like everything Agile, this is really not about the steps, it's about having the conversations.
Quick question, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get, what have you found the most effective ways to get people to engage with the game? Because, if you've got a team and an established level of trust, it might be quite easy to say, hey team, let's give this a go. But what do you find the best way to, present and approach, getting people's engagement in the game is?
Yeah, so I try to say, hey, this could be fun, or I try to do it as a challenge. Like, do you guys think you understand the levels of Agile planning? Do you guys, do you know what the critical success factors are, what the events are, why we would have the events? And I try to kind of go from there to say, well, let's learn. And I also am really careful about not saying this is industry standard best practice that everybody must follow. Because as soon as you say that, then people are going to be like, ah. But if you just say, hey, we can learn some ideas, or we can figure out some ways to get better. I think when I've used it with executives, it's more of, to get them to talk without it feeling intimidating. Like, I'm not coming in with a laundry list of things and saying, why aren't you doing these things? It's more of like, hey, let's check this game out and see, if your organization is interested in learning any of this stuff. So I just try to make it more like, let's have some fun, learn something,
Awesome, thanks. Thanks, Terry, that's awesome.
Yeah, and also I've incorporated in my product management mastery training, my certification, which is different than most certification because it takes 5 weeks to get. So it's not like you take 2 days, but as part of the certification, we take a level or a game board every week and go through it and then have them apply it in their workplace. So that's kind of that's making them engage in it. But again, it's just a little bit more fun than a PowerPoint slide or a checkbox, so.
Terry, I was just wondering how long you allow to play the game.
How long?
Yeah.
I've never had it time out.
Oh, no, but if you were going to book a session with people, do you book an hour? Do you book 2 hours?
Yeah. If you're going to do it, like everything distributed, I would say it's a 2-hour session.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it in person, and it also depends on what you want to get out of it. So I'm glad you asked that question. Going back to the PowerPoint, the important thing is the debrief, right? Like, what did we learn? How can we use this? And so if I'm just working with some senior leaders, I might just do the vision board with them for an hour and then go, all right, let's stop here. Let's just stop right here and talk through these things, and are these things in the middle important to you? So if you look at the critical success factors, which I'm having a hard time getting to, are these things important to you? Do you want to understand what's value to the customer? Do you want to prototype and understand and test before we invest in millions of dollars in building something? Do you want to have an ability to prioritize that work? And how are you going to communicate this with people? How are you going to share it? If these things are important to you in the middle, then let's talk about how we structure to make sure those things happen. And then the behaviors, obviously. And the cool thing is too, if you download the assets, you can make your own flip cards and stuff like that. Like, all the cards for each of the sessions are available. So you can just make flip cards out of them, and say, well, I put these in a pile. Oh, that didn't work. Whatever. It's on my SharePoint. I put the ones as we were playing, I put it in a pile, and these are the things that we talked about that we need to be working on. So it's definitely, it's a playful way to facilitate a difficult discussion. Because I think if I were to walk in and say, I think you guys need to have data flow diagrams, they would look at me like, what are you talking about, lady? I don't even know what that is. And so it's a way to introduce the concepts and have conversations that's not confrontational and, and saying, well, you just have to do it. I'm good at saying, well, you just have to do it. And also in this PowerPoint, it gives you, and again, you could just download from the website. It gives you how to use it with your team. different groups playing. You can use it as a lean coffee topic, like have different groups play and debrief. There's lots of ways to use it. And I'm trying to get it set up to where you can pick which board you want to use. But right now, if I was going to go into, it's not set up that way right now. If I was going to come here to talk about roadmap planning with you guys, I would set up the board and skip through to the next board, the next session, which is roadmap planning. And then you can add people, like people can add along the way. So it's a very forgiving game. You can quit when you want to, you can add yourself when you want to. It doesn't care.
Very flexible. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So anything else? Let me see. Did I land on, I think I landed on, I didn't land on an event. If you have invested time as a team to prioritize business increments, awesome. Now you can drive value to the customer, collect $600. And that gives you a chance to talk about, why you prioritize, how you prioritize. Of course, it's not going to stop on a event, but the events, basically, you got to pay for the events. So they're like an investment of time that you need to pay. And when you get an event card, a card will come up here and it'll tell you what that event is, why you would do it, and then why you would invest in it. So. Yeah, and also I think it's, oh, there it goes. There you are. So prioritization, like why would you do it? And then you can decide to buy it or not buy it. But if you don't buy it, you can't go to the next board. So you kind of have to buy it. and really we've set up the money to where you can go negative because let's face it, projects and product development does go negative at times. So, it lets you go negative, but it's just basically, a tool that you can use to have conversations about what good could look like. And if I've had people say, well, we don't need to do wireframes. This isn't, customer facing. Like, that's fine. At least you know that you don't need them. But now also, when you do need them. So I think that's really all I had. I planned for 40 minutes and it's 5:39 or 5:39 here. It's 8:39 for you. So any questions, comments, feedback?
Terry,
Terry,
sorry.
there you go.
Thanks. I'll be quick, promise.
Yeah, all good.
I really like the concept, and I think it's a great way to bring the product team on the same common language. Because often a lot of this is, the one person might come in with that product language, but then everybody else is speaking a different language altogether. So I like that. And you've mentioned, I guess, I'd like to see how you would pull it out and play it differently. So you've mentioned before, like if you to do a product roadmap, then you just focus on that instead. What does that look like, if that's okay? Sorry.
Yeah. So what you'd have to do is click through it. So I would click through this, and it's kind of a pain, but you'd have to get it set up to click through. And then once you finish everything on this page, so once you get all the skills and you've got all 4 event cards, it goes to the next board automatically. So then you can add other people to the board. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't even know. I think maybe you can even play with one player, but yeah, I just click through and then get it set up. But I'm trying to get the developer to do just one board for me, like where I can pick a board. But he did this really cheap for me, really, and I think he wants more money. And I don't blame him. Every time he got something, I was the worst product owner. Every time he got something, could you make it flip? Could you make it? And he's like, Terry, stop. Like, you didn't pay for that. I'm like, okay, you're right. So.
Well, that was my question, Terry, because I guess it's a good example of an MVP product. But are you intending to, I can see like it's not secure, for example, are you intending to create different features and develop the game further? Like, have you got, are you following your own process and
yeah, it
building
was
out
secure.
via feedback?
Yeah, it was secure. I just saw that today. They're working on it now. I don't know. Somehow it was initially. I'm not intending on investing any more in it at the moment. It was, it works for what I want it to work for me. I mean, if I was going to commercialize it, possibly, but I just would rather keep it low fidelity, let people play with it, and make it
I guess then
available.
a question then is, what have you learned on the quest to build a digital product out of a physical product and its usefulness and learning process?
I learned there's things I like. So the things I like about it, thanks for asking. Nobody's ever asked me that. The things I like about it, the banking's handled, so that makes it go faster. That's just automated. The movement of the board piece is super simple, and we're not all hovered around a board. So distributed kind of that's kind of cool. You know, people aren't walking up with water. I've done this physical board many times, and people like drop cake on it and all this other stuff. And you're like, really? Like, you know, come on, guys. So that part, I think that the part of ticking off the skills is equal, whether it's a physical board or this electronic board. You still have to find it and do it as a team. I forgot to say too, the other person has to tick theirs off as well when they land on it. But the thing I don't like about it, you cannot play this without a facilitator. Where the physical board, you can get away with it a little bit better if you just ask the banker to kind of keep it slow and keep it, you know, make sure that they're talking. Sometimes people get too caught up in who's going to win, and so they'll go too fast. Yeah, this forces a facilitator. I've tried to do it without facilitators. It's a nightmare. Like don't it's just a horrible thing. But if you have a facilitator who's you know, with the objective of learning, it works really well. I think that's, and just, you know, just in general housekeeping, when you flip the card, like when you have a physical card, you know, you have to reach over, and people get funny about all that stuff, where having it come up here. I mean, I guess my preference is the digital one, but I do worry about people having the conversation.
Thanks. That's good.
Any other questions?
Nick, did you want to talk?
Yes, Terry. How can I have an opportunity to have a tester to actually play the game with the facilitator?
Sure. Just, I don't know if you can make my email address available, or you can, I don't know, however we can connect, then I would be happy to facilitate a session. Absolutely. I'd love to. That's the new certification. I'll get you certified. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. No certifications. But I mean, I'm very passionate about product management because I was a developer first, then I became a BA after they realized I am too happy to be a developer. Like I never did anything for the negative path, only the happy path. So they said, maybe you should be a BA. And what I noticed is people didn't really give you a clear vision. And then when Agile came along, they're like, oh, Agile's solving all our problems. I'm like, no, we still don't know what we want. We don't invest time in the important things of understanding what we're trying to achieve. So I'm extremely passionate because I feel like the delivery teams, like everybody along the way takes the heat, but it's really like, if you don't know what you want, you're going to get exactly that, you know? So if you want me to facilitate a session, I'm happy to do it.
Terry, it's Jody. Could you just recap what the facilitator does in the game?
So the facilitator shares the screen so everybody can see it. And then they kind of just, when people go, let me see, they'll read out the card. Here you go. So your team has quit talking to customers about their pains and needs. If you have an empathy interview event, return the event to the banker. We don't have one, so we don't have to return it. So, but basically talking about what I would do at this point is just stop for a minute and go, why would that be important? Like, why are empathy interviews important? What happens if you don't do them? And then talk through that. So it's really just keeping the pace of the game so that people aren't just clicking. And I've had that happen. Like I was trying to do it I can tell you a failure if you want to hear a massive failure. I was trying to do it at Agile India with myself and just random people. And they were just like clicking and going crazy. And I was like, okay, this is not the right way to use this game. So people have to clearly understand. Go ahead.
Particularly if you have people who have different levels of understanding, they don't know what some of these are.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, like I've had, you know, I love I can't remember who said it, but this level sets on terminology. Because if they say, well, we don't call business increments. What is a business increment? We talk about what it is. What do we call that here? And we agree on that term. So not saying these terms are the terms you have to use, but it causes some agreement across the organization to say, oh, that's what we call it here. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, I'm just scanning the chat to see if there's anything else in the chat. Positive comments, and many thanks from people. We'll send you the chat record after this too, if you want to review it.
Okay, great. That'd be great.
Are there any particular questions in there? In case I've missed any and you put it in the chat, just let us know. But yeah, I think, yep. So we've left a few different email addresses in there too. So, you know, we'll make sure you get that if people, and it's, sorry, I pronounced it wrong before. It was I said Power SDS, but it's powersds.com.
Yeah.
Powersds.
I'm so good at naming organizations. My first company, I named it Powers IT Solutions. PITS was the acronym, PITS.
All right, the PITS. Excellent.
It wasn't a great acronym, but you know, but yeah, that's kind of been, I've been having businesses named Powers for a long time. So anyway,
great.
but
so
yeah,
thanks very much for walking people through this. And yeah, as you probably heard, you can go to powersds.com/free stuff. The PDF that Terry was sharing just now is on there, and it sort of gives you the instructions about how you can open this online and whatever. And I'm sure there's ways of contacting you on the website if anyone would like to. And I guess that's all we have for today. Just check back to our website, clubhouse.lastconference.com. Lisa and I are scheduling in more online stuff. We have our rescheduled date for an in-person thing, which is on the 3rd of September. So we'll just have to see how that goes in the next few weeks. But as I said at the start of this, we've got lots of other, I've got more ideas. It's just, you know, executing them, I guess. And if anyone's out there who I haven't spoken to for a while, get in touch with me too. It was good to see a few people who haven't seen along to these for a little while. So yeah, we'll sign off now. So, and thanks very much, everyone, and we'll see you another time.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Cheers.
Thank you.